Hi SILEM stars, you're welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then you're welcome to my channel. My name is SILEM. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to make a drawstring dress with pockets. So if you want to see how we make this dress, definitely keep on watching.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there.
So I'm using 3 yards of Ankara fabric for this, and I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 4, as you can see, so I can cut the front piece and the back piece at the same time. So the first thing I'm doing now is I'm marking the baseline at the top of the fabric, which is just half inch from the edge. Now from that baseline, I'm going to go ahead and mark the hip line, and the hip line measurement is 24 inches. Now for the length of this dress, I'm going to be using 44 inches, but then I added 1 inch to that to make it 45. So that's what I'm marking. Now I'm extending the hip line like so. And then the next thing I'm doing is I'm dividing the shoulder measurements by 2. Then I'm marking that on the baseline. And then the length of the sleeve I want is 10 inches, but I added 1 inch to that to make it 11 inches. So from that shoulder line, I'm just marking the sleeve length, which is 11 inches. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down from the baseline by 1 inch, and then I'm going to mark that point. Now I'm going to mark the neck width, which is 3.5 inches, and then I'm also going to mark the neck depth. The neck depth for the back I'm using is 1.5 inches. Then I'm going to connect that to the neck width with a curve to create the back neckline. And then I'm going to connect that neck width to the 1 inch mark to create the shoulder slope. For the depth of the front neckline, I'm using 7 inches. Then I'm just connecting that up to the neck width. Now, from that shoulder slope there, I'm going to mark the round sleeve divided by 2 plus 2 inches. Now on the hip line, I'm dividing the hip circumference by 4, marking that on the hip line, and then I'm adding 4 inches allowance to that. Now I'm going to measure the entire thing I have on that hip line, so including the allowance, and then I'm going to mark that exact thing on the hem. And then I'm going to connect the hip to the hem with a straight line. Then after that, I'm also going to connect that round sleeve to the hip. Okay, so I'm going to use a straight line all the way up, and then when I get close to the round sleeve, I'm now going to use a curved line to connect them like so. And then the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut along those lines. I'm starting by cutting along the back neckline. Okay, so I just followed the shape of the back neckline when I was cutting. So now, for now, don't cut, the front neckline, cut just the back neckline. Okay, and then after that, I'm just raising up my front piece so I can cut out the front neckline. These are the pieces of fabrics that I'm going to use for the pockets. The length is 10 inches and the width is 8 inches. Now I'm going to take this black doll face satin fabric that I'm going to be using to design the top part of the pocket. From the top of the pocket, I'm going to mark 2.5 inches downwards. Now I'm going to continue marking that same 2.5 inches all along, and then I'm going to cut along that line. Then the next thing I'm going to do is place that doll face satin fabric on the pocket, and then I'm going to sew them at the top with 1/4 inch seam allowance. But as you can see at the bottom part of the piece, I've gone ahead to fold it inwards with 1/2 inch. Now make sure that you're sewing this to the wrong side of the pocket. Okay, so sew it to the wrong side and then flip it towards the right side, and then you can now top stitch the design on the right side. This is optional. You don't have to add this design. You can just go ahead and um you know add your pockets normally. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold in the edges with 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to iron them. flat like so. Then on my front piece from the shoulder downwards, I'm going to make sure that I leave about ½ inch at the shoulder there for my joining. So at the shoulder downwards, I'm just going to mark the waistline. Okay, the waistline I'm using here is 18 inches. So from the waistline there, I'm just coming down by 2 inches. And then I'm also marking that center, that's the center front. So now place the pockets, make sure that the pocket is 2 inches below the waistline and 2 inches away from the center front. So just go ahead and pin them in place. And then sew from the top down and all the way back up. Okay, so just go ahead and top stitch the pockets to the right side of the front piece. And this is what you should have once you're done. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my front piece and then I'm going to cut along the fold like so. I'm placing one of the front pieces right sides facing with the back piece, and then I'm going to pin them together. I'm also going to place the other front piece right sides facing with the back piece as well, and then I'm also going to pin them together. Now I'm going to join them together along the shoulders with ½ inch seam allowance. Now I'm also going ahead to trim off just 1 inch from the front piece. This is optional, but I just chose to do it. Now the next thing I'm doing is I'm just going ahead to hem the sleeve by folding it twice, and I'm going to sew it down. Now I'm going to join them along the sides with 1 inch seam allowance. So start from the sleeve and sew all the way to the hem. After joining them, this is what we have. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mark the midpoint of my back piece. Now from that midpoint, I'm going to measure the neckline all the way to the hem. So from the back neckline, start from the midpoint and measure all the way till you get to the front neckline and all the way down to the hem. So whatever you have, multiply that by 2 and then cut a band that is that long. Okay, so if you had 40 for example on one side, you want to cut 80 inches, which is 40 multiplied by 2. So that should be the length of your band. Now for the width of the band, I cut a 4-inch wide band. I folded ½ inch in and ironed it, and then I also folded it again right at the center. Now I'm going to place the band starting from that center point. I'm going to sew the band from the center point all the way down to the hem. So I'm going to simply place my piece inside the band. Okay, so just watch what I'm doing. I'm going to place my piece inside the band and then I'm going to sew it. If you do it this way, your piece will be neat on the right side and on the wrong side. Okay, alternatively, you can just sew it to the right side and then overlock the edges. Now for the drawstring casing, the width is 2 inches. The width of the band is 2 inches, and then I folded it in. This is 2 inches. Like I said, I folded it in by ½ an inch on both sides, which makes it 1 inch after folding. Now from the shoulder, I'm going to mark the waistline. Okay, so the waistline I'm using for this is 18 inches. So I'm going to mark the waistline on both sides. I'm going to flip this to the back. I'm also going to mark the same waistline starting from the shoulder. I'll turn it back to the front. Now I'm going to go ahead and place the drawstring channel right on the edge of the band. and then I'm going to sew the drawstring channel. So I'm just pinning the drawstring channel to the front. Okay, once I'm done pinning it to the front, I'm going to flip it to the back, and then I'm also going to pin it as well. Once I'm done with the back, I'll flip it again so I can pin it on the other side of the front piece. Okay. The next step is to sew the drawstring to the dress. Now after sewing the drawstring channel down, now I'm going to go ahead and insert my rope. Now this rope, I simply cut out a 1 inch wide piece that is very long. It was about 3 times the waist measurement. Okay, then I just folded this 1 inch wide piece, sewed it, and then turned it out to the right side. So that's how I got my rope. Now I'm just going to insert my rope from one opening all the way and bring it out from the other opening. Okay, so once we're done with that, the next thing now is for us to join the center pieces of the front. Okay, so now I'm going to measure from the shoulder. I'm going to measure how low I want the neckline to be for the front, and then I'm going to mark that. For this, I used 8 inches from the shoulder. Now once I've marked that, I'm just going to flip this now to the wrong side. I'm going to place the two front pieces together like so. Then I'm going to sew from that part where I want my neck to stop. I'm going to sew from that part all the way to the hem. Now when you're sewing this, you have to use about 1/4 inch seam allowance, very little allowance. And once we're done, this is what we have. As you can see, the drawstring gives it that snatched waist. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in my next video. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye.